Hello, hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your Thursday to join us for the Learning Projects webinar.
All right. So first, what really are ShareFile projects? So ShareFile projects is a collaborative space centered around document collaboration. You may have been using ShareFile for a long time for sharing and requesting files and folders with coworkers and clients alike. But what we've really created here is a space and a folder with intent. That's really the way that we like to look at it. So I'd ask you to think about how many times you've requested a document from an outside vendor or an individual, only to realize, maybe it's the wrong file or it's incomplete. Now you have to spend time emailing or calling that party, which can disrupt your workflow and uses up valuable time during your busy day. So again, I like to think about it, projects as a step beyond folders. It provides more intent around the document collection and the collaborative aspect. So let me switch over to my other window here. We'll just briefly take a look at a project here. And so we'll build one out here, but just to kind of talk about the use cases here. So projects really allows your organization to create tasks, right? So these can be with back office or with clients alike. You can collect documents using document requests, allowing you to um, review and comment to ensure those correct files are uploaded, or maybe if there's some errors. Information requests. Information requests are going to be how you collect digital information using a form. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. You can also manage or share files pertaining to the project space. So you do have a file section here, and this is going to contain all the files that have been uploaded into the project and allow you to share individual files if, let's say, an outside client is not they don't have the permission to view all files. And then finally, we'll look at the comment section. So really, the collaboration aspect of it goes beyond just uploading and sharing information. We have a comment section which makes specific document requests, be able to provide feedback and just a general feed. So this eliminates having to go through email or calling people. All the comments are listed right here, and you'll be able to search for them.
And Greg, you're logged in today as a service provider, so one of our customers who's trying to share stuff. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So what we'll do today is we'll go through and we'll build a project. So I'm going to be a HR representative for a small company in Raleigh called Drones Over Raleigh, and we specialize in aerial photography and videography for real estate agents, wedding venues, construction companies, like throughout North Carolina and beyond. So I'll be working with a potential new hire named Shane Wild to coordinate interviews. We're going to request some large files to collect information before they're actually hired. And we're going to do this all within one project space. And we'll kind of get the idea of different use cases and the features that we have built into projects. So to create a project here, we have a very easy way to do that. So up the top right, we'll have a blank project here. And we're going to go ahead and name this Prospective Employee Shane Wild. This is just going to be just a default name, and we'll be able to go in there and change that later, you'll see. So one of the first things that we have here, this is a blank project, is there's not going to be anybody attached to this. So what we really want to start by doing is thinking who we need on this for the interview process, right? So the way we're going to add users is up at the top right here. We can go to the three dots and we'll go to manage users. You can also share the request up at the top right with the share button. So we'll take a look at manage users. And so as an owner, I'm the one who created the project. I'll have access to pretty much everything in the project, right? So I created it, I'm the owner. So we'll need a couple more people on this. We're going to actually bring in the IT director. He's going to be one of the members hosting one of the interviews, and also a gentleman named Dale Ray, and he's going to be Shane's direct hire, and he's also going to be involved in the interview process. So go ahead and share. We're going to go ahead and bring in the IT director. Permission sets. So we'll go into this in a little bit here, but permission sets is going to be baked right in. So for now, they're going to be a team member. We need them to be able to access this project to conduct the interviews and to view the documents. So we'll go ahead and give the IT director team member access. We'll also invite the other manager, Dale, who will be his direct report. And he'll also be a team member. We'll share that with him.
And so,
then,
Greg,
of course,
what you're doing right now is you're actually just sort of doing the tasks that somebody out there who has a project and wants to share stuff would be doing. It's who do you want to share with and what do you want to share with them that you're about to go through. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. And so once we go to actually invite Shane Wild, who's going to be the interviewee, we can look at the permission sets here. And if we wanted to give client permission, so that's going to be a little bit different. So we have a couple baked in permission sets called client and client limited. So basically client, and if you click on the view button here, we'll take a look at it. So client's going to be a very basic permission set. This right-hand panel is going to show everything that Shane will be able to do and can't do. So mostly you can see here at the top, without going through line by line, he'll be able to view the project and he'll be able to view the content in the project, view files, view comments, but he won't really necessarily be able to create additional, document requests or deleting comments or, deleting files, things of that nature. So really he's going to have a limited access to this project. So the limited one, if we were to just kind of compare that, you can see it goes through and actually he won't be able to view all files. He can't view all comments. It's going to be really focused on us assigning Shane what he needs to see. So this might actually be a better way that we add Shane in. So we'll go ahead and create him as a limited client. And we'll share out the request. And you can see here from the Manage Users menu, you do have the ability to change this. So you'll see later on, once we actually hire on Shane, we could come in here and actually change it right here. And then we can actually build custom. So if we wanted to go through custom permissions, we can actually go line by line there and change what Shane will have access to. So this all looks good for now. We're going to go ahead and close this. So the first thing we'll look at is, during the interview process, we need to schedule a few things. And like I said, the tasks can be used for back office only, or, it can be used to create tasks for the outside vendor or the outside client. So right now we set Shane to be a limited client. So these tasks are really only going to be for internal. So that's going to be the IT director that we added and also Dale. So just to create a task, you do have a create task button here. We'll give it a title. And we'll say first interview. And we're going to assign this to Dale. He's going to be the direct manager, and the second interview will be with the IT director. And you have a status bar here. So you do have some options. You can do not started all the way through completed. And this will be a great way to just keep everything visually on task. If Dale, the manager, comes in here to see if maybe his is completed, or maybe there's some other tasks that he needs to do before the interview, review some information, you can specify the status. And so today we'll think of let's say the first day, or the start date would be May 27th. So we're going to conduct the interviews the week before. So we'll put 20th. Now, if you'd like to follow the task for updates, you can keep this checkbox on to get notified via email of any status changes or updates to this task. So if I actually go in here and change the due date for the first interview to a different date, Dale would be notified of that change. So we'll go ahead and create this task. And while we're in here, we'll go ahead and put a second interview. We'll assign that to the IT director, and that one's going to be the next day.
And Greg, what you're showing today is just the fact that it's whatever our customers need. It's whatever you've got as tasks to do. You're just giving examples of ones that would go on during hiring of a new employee. That's
Correct. Yep. Yeah, and we could even go further, like I said, there could be some documents that we need to review. Maybe there's a set of, the pre-work that we're going to require Shane to do. Maybe we're going to need to create a task for Dale to review that before the interview. So it's really open on what kind of things you can put in here. But the key thing is, being notified of these tasks, right? The notification system is going to let them know when they have upcoming tasks due. And it's a really great way to keep things on track and organized. So next thing we'll take a look at is maybe we need to collect some information. Maybe it goes beyond just having Shane upload, his past work, or maybe when we look at it next, the test work that we'll have him do. So maybe we just need some general information for our hiring manager and the IT director to take a look at before the interview. So what we'll do here is we'll create a pre-interview questionnaire. And we'll kind of take a look at what the form builder will look like. So we'll create an information request here. We'll call it pre-interview questionnaire. I hope I spelled that right. And this will need to be completed before the first interview. So we'll set this to the 16th. And we'll create. So what this will do is it'll actually, within the project space, it's going to redirect us to the builder. And if you've used our e-signature offering, this will look very similar. We have kind of a drag and drop system in here, makes it very easy. So there's a few things that we'll want to get from Shane before the interview. So the first thing we want to do is a desired salary. So we are going to use a single line. Over on the right-hand side, we have some options. Desired salary. We'll make this required. Other things you might need to get information about is the earliest availability to start. So we can put that in here. We'll say earliest availability. This will be a required field as well. And maybe we need to know, since Drones Over Raleigh does do work outside of the state, even outside the country, if the job permits, we may need to know, does he have a valid driver's license or a passport? So we'll just do, for the sake of time, we'll do a multiple choice here, and we'll say, you have a current passport. We'll make this required. And the options here are in a list form, so we'll say yes or no. You can also change the layout, so if you wanted it to be horizontal, you can switch it there. And then there's a hint if maybe it's a complicated question, you need some more details around it. And then the last thing, we'll just put in here one more multiple choice. Drones Over Raleigh sometimes goes in remote locations, maybe somewhere where there's not a hotel or somewhere to stay. So we're going to say, you're willing to work in remote areas where camping is required. Sounds like fun. I'll just put yes or no. All right, so we've got our questions here. One thing that we can do is the next option here is going to be settings. You can change the name, the form description, and also you can put a message for when they complete the form. So here, the generic message we put is, thanks for completing this request. That looks good. And the next option up at the top here is going to be preview. So everything looks good here. We just want to collect a few bits of information from Shane before we start interviewing him. So we'll go ahead and save that. All right, so once it's saved, we'll quit out of it. Just asking us to make sure we've saved it and say yes. And so now we have our questionnaire. So now, one thing, we have the questionnaire, we need to assign it to someone. So right now it says that it's unassigned. So we'll go ahead and click this button on the right to assign it. So we want to assign this directly to Shane Wild. And permission set, this is going to give the permissions to either review the response, which we don't really need him to do. We want to actually just assign this information request to him. And you can also do custom, but for today's demo, we'll go ahead and give him the assignee, which will give him the ability to actually fill out the information request and submit it. So we'll go ahead and assign that to him, and off it goes. So next section we'll take a look at is document requests. So for this particular example, this is kind of the pre-hiring process, the interview process. There's a couple things that we want Shane to submit to us that typically wouldn't be something you could just email, right? So what we're going to actually ask Shane to upload is past work. So an example of some work that he's done, drone footage, imagery, that kind of thing, that are usually larger files. And then we'll also ask Shane to upload some test work. So we'll go through actually adding a test work document as well after this. So create a document request, you simply click the create button there. We're just going to say past work and test work. We can select a date that it's due by. So we'll say that the start date was the 20th. We have some interviews here, so we'll back it up to the 17th. And we'll go ahead and create.
Hey, Greg, when you're choosing
Yeah.
due dates, is that something that is required for the fields, or is that an optional if people wanted to use it type of thing?
So the due date is going to be an optional field. You know, if you're looking to keep everything on time, it's best to put something in there. It's also going to trigger those reminders like I talked about. So if you did need something by a particular date, it's probably best to include it, but it's not going to be something that's required, right?
Yeah, so our customers have choice. They can do what works best for them.
Exactly. So we're brought into the actual document request here, past work and test work. We have a couple different options. So we can create an item manually. We also have an option to import items, and we'll show you kind of briefly how this looks. So importing items is simply using a template. You've probably used this other places before. If you click download or template, it's going to actually give you an Excel file where you can fill out multiple lines, and then you don't have to go through them one by one. And so we'll take a look at that a little bit later once we actually bring Shane on board. We'll create a document request and use a template to kind of show how that works. But for this example here, we'll go ahead and just create an item. So we'll just name this past work. Just say, please upload a past videos or images of your past work. And again, due date is not required, but since we are really trying to keep everything on track, you can see here that we actually were limited to the 17th date that we put in earlier. So it's really going to keep us focused on getting everything in by the 17th. So we'll put the 17th here. Go ahead and create item. And to add extra items, there'll be an option here. We'll go ahead and create an additional item. We'll just say test work. Same thing. We'll put a date on there. And we'll create an item. So we have items within this request list here, past work and test work. But there's still one thing that we actually need to do because it's here, but we need to go one step further and we actually need to assign these. So we can select individual items, or we can select the checkbox at the top to select all. And we're going to click the assign button here. So we're going to go ahead and find Shane. We're going to give him assignee similar to the information request. We want him to give us the information. And we'll go ahead and assign. So now immediately you can see here that we have a people icon that popped up for Shane Wild. He's the person that's going to be assigned to this document request. And if you needed to come in here and remove, you do have the option here. You can come back and set, you can change the due date, but remember it's gonna go all the way up to the original due date that we set for the entire document request. So What's cool here is that you can change things on a per item level. So maybe something is more important than another item. You can change the due date, before the actual due date of the entire request that you set. Along those same lines, if you had a request, for past or test work, and that you wanted maybe the hiring manager to submit, maybe there's some documentation that you need to collect from him. This gives you the ability to assign individual document requests to individuals within the project. So if you don't want Shane to see some of the document requests that, maybe it's some kind of background check or something like that the manager needs to submit, and you don't want Shane seeing, you can actually keep those separate and assign them to different people. Really just keeps it segregated. Right. And so one of the things with the test work that we need Shane to be able to view is, what do we need him to work on, right? So we'll actually back out to the document request page, and we'll go over to the files. So files is a section, like I mentioned earlier, it's going to house all of the documents that have been uploaded, and just allows you to manage them from here without going into specific document requests or things that have been shared. So one thing he'll need is the test work documentation. So I'm actually on my machine. I'm going to drag a file directly in, and you can see it uploads directly into the file section. So this is the test work documentation that Shane will be able to go in and view. And this is just a sample document saying, hey, we'd like you to, we have a client of ours and they need some footage of, some outdoors footage, and they want a road or something else involved in there. This will allow Shane to preview that doc right from here. But remember, since we did give Shane limited client view, he's not necessarily going to be able to see all the documents in there until we gave him the permissions. So what we'll do directly from the file section, and you're probably very familiar with this process, is we're going to select that document, we're going to share it. So we need to share that document directly with Shane. So we'll go ahead and click here, and we're going to give him the ability to download that file, because maybe he needs to download it and go off to some remote location he won't have internet connection. So we'll give him download access, and I will share the document. So now within this file section and the document requests, we're asking Shane to upload some documents. And so maybe we need to let him know, hey, if you're unsure what to do for your test work, let's actually come in here and let's tell him. So within this test work document request we're in right now, we're going to add a comment. We're just going to tell him, hey, Shane, please reference the test work document in the files. We'll just say file section. So now within this document request, now we've communicated with Shane. So when he gets the notification that he needs to upload a document, he has kind of some guidance on what to do. Not only could we just comment here, but we could actually drop we could go to the details here. We could drop that test work file directly in here. So let me do that here. We'll drop that test work doc right here. So really, we're giving you a lot of play and a lot of options on how you can communicate with somebody, within a project space. Now I didn't have to send him an email or call him to say, hey, here's the document you need. When he logs in, he's going to see that comment, and he's going to be able to access that file that we sent him. So super powerful stuff. It just makes life a lot easier. Let's see. So another thing we'll do while we're here. So since this is, we're pre-onboarding, we're just kind of going through the interview process. Another thing that I really wanted to highlight is that we can provide other files here, right? So we've got a mission statement, maybe we'd like him to look at just to get familiar with our company. So I've got a mission statement, and I've also got a culture document that I have for Drones Over Raleigh. I'm gonna go ahead and just drag those into the file section here as well.
Greg, while you're doing that upload, it may
Yep.
help people to understand, like when they're looking right now, we see that there are 2 drones over Raleigh files, and one
Correct.
has the number 2.
Yes. So 2 documents there. Basically, it means that we've uploaded the same document. And so it works a little different here since, we uploaded that document within a document request, and we also uploaded that document directly into the file section. So they're not going to overwrite each other. You can see here where they were added, where the date they were added. So really those 2 files are separate. You might be used to in ShareFile where if you're uploading multiple docs, it's going to create a different version of that, right? So in this instance, we uploaded them in 2 different locations. They're going to be 2 separate files. Yeah, good point.
While you're showing that, like one of the questions I would have had if I was sitting in the audience is when you gave download, does download also give like Shane the ability to view the file?
So Shane would be able to view, and we'll actually switch while we're talking about that. We'll switch over to Shane's view here, and we'll see kind of what he has access to. So now Shane's logged in. You can see prospective employee Shane Wild is the project that we've invited him here. And now here's those files, right? So on the dashboard, we have the file section, or if we come into here, here's all those files that we gave him access to, right? So you can see here the mission statement, the culture document that we uploaded directly in are listed there. And then also the test work document that we put within the document request is going to be viewed here. So if we were to click on one, let's say the test work docx. So he does have the ability to view it, and he does have the ability to download the file directly from here.
The permission that you didn't choose was you didn't give him delete permission so that Shane doesn't have a way he can delete stuff that you didn't mean for him.
Correct. Yep. And so since, remember back, we gave him a limited client view. Let's say we go back, let me switch windows here, bear with me. If we go back into the file section, I'm the HR manager. Let's say I bring over the employee handbook. We'll upload that into here. So he's technically not an employee yet. So once we uploaded the document, let's switch back over and we'll give this a good refresh. And so you can see here, he does not see that employee handbook yet. Because we gave him that limited client view, we're only giving Shane the ability to see what we assign him or what we share with him. So that's super powerful. And, in this situation, if you do have managers working on the interview process, maybe there's some files that you need to go through, like a interview questionnaire that you just have typed up in a document or something you don't want him to see yet. Those can all be added without him being able to see those. So super powerful stuff there. So we are in Shane's view here. We'll go ahead and take a look at this information request. So not only does he have it listed here as assigned to you, but he also got some email notifications. And I'll just kind of take a look briefly at this. So you can see that I was assigned an information request, and that's linked directly to this one. So not only does he get an email notification, but within product, he can come here and see that he has an assigned task. So we'll go through this real quick. So let's just say his desired salary will be $75,000 yearly. His earliest availability is the 27th. He has an up-to-date passport, and he's also willing to travel for work. Bear with me a second. All right, so we've completed that. If we go back over to our HR view here, we'll see that we do have the pre-interview questionnaire was completed. We do have one response. So we can manage that, but we want to go in and actually take a look at it. So we click into the information request and we can go to responses. And here we go. Here's the information that Shane just filled out. So now we have that information. You can schedule the interviews. We can go through that interview process. But the one thing we actually didn't do, let me back out here. So Shane needed to submit a couple documents for review. So we'll go over to the document requests, and he has the past work and test work assigned to him. So we'll quickly just go ahead and upload a couple files in here. So past work, go ahead and upload that. And maybe he has a couple things he wants to upload. And these are fairly large files here. These are video files. And maybe he has some test work he wants to upload. So he reviewed the test work. He reviewed the document here that we provided him. So let's go ahead and upload the test work.
And Greg, that's, as a person who has fought with the challenges of email, that's one of the things where I know that we have limits sometimes in email where all of a sudden we can't send a file that's big, but what kind of limits do you have in ShareFile for big files?
So for files, it's going to be the 100 gigabyte limit. So way more than you could ever email. And you can see how quickly I was able to simply drag and drop some video files that were fairly large in size. But now immediately those files are available for the Drones Over Raleigh team to access. So once I've uploaded those, we'll come back to the HR view here. And now you can see there are some attachments in here. So one of the nice things about document requests is that it keeps everything on task. So you can see at the top here, we have 2 open items, nothing in review and nothing approved yet. So as the HR person, or Dale, the direct manager, comes in here and they review, they can come directly into the document request list and they can preview the file. Let's say they want to just take a look at it. Here it is right there. So time savings right there, just being able to preview. And if everything looks good here, what they can do is they can approve it. Everything looks good with your past work. So immediately up at the top, we have now just 1 open and 1 approved. Same thing with the test work. They could come in here and view the test work that was submitted. If everything looks good, they could just approve it. Alternatively, if they needed to maybe get Shane to do something a little bit different, hey, can you change the file to a .move or something else that they might reference? Maybe they want it to be a little bit longer. They can just comment directly here and Shane will get notified there's a new comment. So really the collaboration there and the information exchange is all central to this particular request. So Shane knows exactly, hey, this particular file in this particular document request, I need to go back and change it. So if they were to go back and upload a new file, then we could come back and approve it once everything looks good. So we'll go ahead and just approve it. And now that it's approved, we can notify them, hey, everything looks good. Thank you for uploading the documents, whatnot. It's really up to you how you'd like to use it. So now we can close that request. It's completed. So now once we go back and see all of our document requests, you can see that it's closed. So really just showing the power of document requests, getting exactly what you need, and then being able to communicate to really make sure there were no errors without having to go outside of ShareFile to communicate with them via email or phone. Everything is just contained right here.
Hey, Greg, what happens if I have an oops and I go, I forgot to get this extra file or I forgot to do something? Do you have options?
Yeah, absolutely. So you do have the option to not only manage the users on this, but you can reopen the request and you can notify them if you'd like to. So we'll go ahead and we won't notify. We just made an oopsie. We'll go ahead and reopen it. Now we can come back in here and maybe, maybe this needs to be reopened. Hey, you know what? We need one more, one more upload from you. We can give them a comment here. It'll send it back that it's been reopened, and it'll provide that feedback. So we can just say, please make video a bit longer, then just like say reopen. All right. So that kind of goes through the different use cases here. We looked at just being able to overview the whole project on the home screen. This really is a good place if you just want a quick reference what's going on. The comment section on the right there is going to be the most recent comments. And the tasks, we can go in there and we can set once the interviews are completed. We can mark them as complete. So it really just keeps you on task. The information requests, we kind of took a look at that, getting some pre-interview information from Shane, that can be used by the managers going into the interview. And that was filled out and completed. We take a look at the document request, how we can collect specific information from somebody and approve or change things. And then the file section is going to be where everything goes. You can see, since we did upload those videos, now they're listed here under the all files section. And then finally the comment section, right? So if this is a pretty heavy project, you're going back and forth for a while, you do have the ability to not only create a comment here, but you can also sort it. Maybe I want to see, maybe Dale was communicating with Shane, right after the interview or something. You can sort the comments by who wrote it. You can also sort it by where were these comments, were they just on the project itself? Were they on the past work and test work that we requested from them? So it gives you ways to really filter it and view everything holistically here. So.
Right. When you were showing us the stuff, you had in the files in the comments section, some of that text is blue or purple. What does that mean?
Yeah. So you can see at the top here, it says added in. So all these files came in and they're listed here, but maybe you just want to go specifically to that file. So what this really shows, and the hyperlink here goes specifically to that test work where the file was updated. So if we needed to go in there and like, gosh, I have a lot of requests in here, or I just want to go right to where we requested this test work, you can click directly in. It brings you right to where that test work was uploaded. So if we needed to make changes directly here, it's just a time saver, right? We give you shortcuts to get to where you need to be. So good question. So that's, a project in a nutshell. Once we actually complete the interview process with Shane, right, we can continue to build out this project. Maybe we love his work. We want to continue this conversation and actually onboard him. So one thing we can come in here and do, instead of just having to go and create a new project and create everything again, we can simply edit the details of the project. Now, instead of a prospect, maybe he's employee Shane Wild, or he's Shane Wild -employee number, however you want to do it. It just allows you to pick up where you left off and continue the project. So one of the things we'll be talking about on May 23rd is templates. So we do have templates coming into projects. May 23rd is the webinar we're doing. And so one of the things I'll show here is maybe once we've talked to Shane and we want to onboard him, maybe there's some more information that we need from him. Not only document requests, because we're going to need some documents from him, but maybe we need some more information. So one thing I'll do here is I'm going to actually pull in another information request from a template. So we have drones over Raleigh polo and jacket preference. We have some drones over Raleigh apparel. We also have some emergency contacts. This is some pretty important information that we need here.
And so, Greg, that whole purpose then is that if I have things that I do repeatedly, you can just let me automate them or do
Correct.
it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If there's a set of information requests that you need from every new hiree, we can bring it in, and it just makes makes saving time. So now we have an emergency contacts in here. This is one that I built out yesterday. It's got some basic single line short answers or name, address, and phone number. These are things that a lot of companies, they need, especially those where you're working out in the field or you're working with machinery or whatnot. So I've got that there. I can assign it to Shane. I can also, bring in another document request. So let me quickly show you. We'll go back to the project. So onboarding an employee usually entails more of the document requests, right? It's not just the pre-work. So let me show you kind of what the template looks like when we actually bring in, like I talked about earlier, an Excel template for importing items. So this is going to be the onboarding documents. We won't give it a date or a description here just for time. We'll create that. And we're going to actually say import items this time. So we'll select a file. I already have the template downloaded and filled out. So if you take a look here, I've got an ID and passport, some direct deposit form, the drone pilot license we need from Shane, some tax information, employee equipment, and background check. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. You can see here it's going to do some column mapping, and it's going to tell us, hey, the first column is going to be excluded. We'll go ahead and say next. You can see here it's importing these items. Now we'll say import. And now just like that, we have all of our requested documents here without going one by one. So then like earlier, if you needed to assign it, we can select all and assign directly to Shane. And we'll give him a signee. And now within that project space, Shane will get notified that he has a document request, and same process as we did with the pre-work and the test work. He can upload and we can approve these documents. All right. So that's my demonstration here of projects. Let's see if we have any questions that we can get to. I know this was a lot of information.
Yeah, Greg, we actually do have a question to be answered live from our good friend Andrew. The question is the form builder creating a data app like Podio so that one could then potentially search for the fields across different forms entered, etc.?
So as of right now, no. Eventually you'll be able to template that, and then you could recreate and reuse that template. But you won't be able to, as of right now, you cannot search for a particular, field or something that you create from a form.
Sure.
But good question.
Yeah. And I can answer this question. Someone asked about the webinar that is coming up that you have referred to a couple times, Greg. I did go ahead and link the registration link in the chat. If you want to go ahead and check that out, we'll be coming live to you on May 23rd, as Greg mentioned. So go ahead and check that out and go ahead and register if you can. We do have another question here. It is, I just had it pull up in front of me. Oh, someone wanted to understand a little bit more about the onboarding docs. Let's see if I can...
So the onboarding docs, the one that I just created, is a document request. And so we went through kind of creating the document request originally with the work we wanted Shane to submit. So we built out the document request and we assigned these particular items, right? So from there, Shane will get notified that he has some documents to upload. And then from there, we can comment directly on them. We can review them, approve, and ultimately close the document request. So is there a particular question surrounding the document request or the onboarding documents?
There wasn't, no. Someone just wanted to see you go through it just one more time.
Gotcha, yeah.
A view of it.
Yeah, so I'm in the onboarding documents request list that we generated. And this is for kind of like the post-interview. This is actually onboarding Shane as an employee. So we have some pretty regular items that we're requesting. And Shane can go in there and actually upload the documents. If there's an error in one of them, we can comment directly on them. And you can see the status of all of these within each line. So if there are documents that are uploaded, it will change this number here. If there are any comments pertaining to that particular document request within this list, those will be shown here. And then as the HR person, I can go into each specific document request. I can view the comments. I can comment it on my own. I can actually provide, let's say if there's a W4, maybe Shane doesn't have that, right? So I can come over to my local machine and let me grab file. And within seconds, I can provide him with a federal W4 that he can fill out. So super powerful here. Once you actually build this out and later on templatize it, it's just going to make requesting these documents so much faster, right? You see how fast I could do it just doing just using like a local Excel template. But imagine if you could just build this out and send it to somebody as, hey, here is the onboarding stuff you need.
Hey, Greg, one of the things that might also be fun to show them is like maybe the story could be you have somebody who's applied for the job and where it says ID, they have given you their, their college ID. And you're like, oh no,
Yep.
I actually want to get a valid driver's license.
Yeah.
Could you change that form to say valid driver's license instead of ID and passport?
You could, yeah, absolutely. You could go directly into the item and you can just say, yeah, if it was like, yeah, we actually need a school ID, you could change it from ID and passport to school ID. Yeah.
So that we can change our mind and we can learn, and then you could update that template, and then next time it'd be created that way so that where we learn the hard way that we don't always do stuff the best way, we can learn from our mistakes and do better as we go forward.
Right. Yep. Yeah, and the one thing I want to touch on here, I'll back up before we answer any more, but within the project space here, right, we gave Shane the client limited access, but now, maybe he's an employee now. We want to open it up to maybe all the documents that we were managing throughout the interview process. So we can go right back into manage users, and you can see here Shane was a limited client. Maybe now he's a team member. Maybe we want to just start giving him access to more within this project space. Or maybe we don't, we just want to keep it so he's a client. Maybe he just needs to see everything, but not manage anything within this particular space. So now we can start dropping in the employee handbook, other documentation. Maybe he needs some official drone overlay letterhead or presentation templates, all kinds of stuff you could put in here. Like we go back to it's a folder with more intent, right? So you can collect information. Maybe he needs some information from later. You can send him another document or, information request to gather more. So really, really open to the possibilities that you could do here. It can be a one-to-one, so it could be just the HR representative and Shane. Maybe you want to open up like it's a project for, a bunch of employees. Maybe it's not anything external. You want to collaborate on some documents, get feedback. You can do it all within this space. So,
and if Shane did awesome, one day, he may now be the HR director himself.
Exactly.
Doing interviews for somebody else coming down the road.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he needs to be an owner. We'll just put him in an owner.
Sure.
Why not?
It probably is worth jumping back into, because I do think we have a couple minutes. If you go back to the onboarding documents, document request list, and let's just say that we say, oh yeah, I forgot to ask for, whatever form we could possibly imagine that somebody wants to give, insurance onboarding form or something like that. You can just add more items.
Yep. So if we wanted some insurance information, you can just create it right from here. It's really not restricting you to, that initial template we uploaded. Once you have the base here, you can add on to it, remove them, modify them, anything you need to do here.
Hey, Greg, could you also talk for 2 seconds about, is there any rule about when I should add to another item in an existing document request list versus adding another document request list?
Yeah, so that's kind of open to, how you'd like to handle the requests. I think the best way to keep organized, right, would be to, if you have a set of onboarding documents, maybe you need some other documents pertaining to, let's say there was some injury on the job or something, you create a separate document request list. But it's really up to the user or manager, the owner, how they want to organize these, right? So if we wanted to upload a document, describing the injury on job or something, maybe we just create another document request, a separate one from the onboarding documents, right? So it's really up to you how you'd like to organize them.
Now, it probably doesn't make as much sense for an onboarding, but it's probably worth for us taking 2 seconds to talk about, can I close a project? Is the only status for a project open?
Yeah, you can definitely close a project. So if we go through and we actually collect all the information we need, let's say all of these items here, they were completed, right? So we can actually go ahead and close the request. We can notify the person of the closure of that particular project. And then now it's closed. There can't be anything that changes until it gets reopened, right? So if we come back to our document requests on this particular project, you can see here that it's closed. And you can keep things open as long as you'd like. There's really no limit. It's not going to close on the due date, but it may remind the person on any of the requests if they have anything that's due.
Sure. So like a story could be that if you're interviewing Shane and he all of a sudden says, hey, I got another offer, or I've decided to move to Hawaii, or whatever other thing that ends it, you could end and close a document request list. It doesn't have to be finished. But can you also go up to the project itself and close the whole project?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you do have the option from the 3 dots at the top to change to closed. And so when you're in your project's view, you can now, we don't see it. We are only on the status open. So if you want to keep track of only what's open, you can change that there. If you wanted to go back and see what's closed, there's that closed project that we just closed. On the same lines, you can delete a project, right? So if we wanted to just delete this project for 45 days, it'll still be there. So if you made a little boo-boo, a whoopsie, you can come back and restore it. So if we were to delete this project, you can come back to the top and you can go to recently deleted. And here's our Shane Wild employee. We can simply restore it. And I'll go back into projects. We'll change it to closed since it's still going to remain closed. And there's our project.
Yep. So then we're going to support whether you, if you're hiring people, have a policy internal to your company that you want to keep it for 7 years for anybody who's ever interviewed, or 30 days, or whatever. You decide what works best for you.
Correct. Yeah, good point. All right.
And Greg, we have a couple more questions. I think we probably only have time for maybe one more, but we have a couple questions just about due dates. Generally speaking, just how do they work and how are users notified through the process?
Right. So notifications, when someone is first added to, let's say, a document request, they're going to get notified that they were added to a document request and there's things that they need to upload. So notifications are going to go out once the due date gets closer. So we'll have kind of a 10-day, 5-day, and 3-day notification cadence where that person will get notified of the pending request that they're assigned to. So to answer that question, yes, they'll be notified when they first get added. And then also once the due date starts coming up, they will get reminded on it. Cadence here. So just an example here. This is kind of just an example of one of the new items that we actually added. You can see that insurance one that we added to the document request list for onboarding documents. And so Shane was notified that, hey, we added a new item called insurance. And now he has a link directly to that document request. So notifications are a big part of this, keeping everything on track.
And I think to just sort of wrap that point a little further, one of the pieces that we're also trying to do here is to let people know who have responsibility when those responsibilities change. So if you're asking somebody to do something new, it's going to tell them that they've got something new to do. And if
Right.
you're telling them that they no longer have to do it, then we're telling them that you don't have to do it, so that we don't have people that are out there running along, putting a video together to upload if you've changed your mind and you don't need the video.
Exactly. All right. Well, I think with that, we'll finish up. I really appreciate everybody joining today. It's been a fun time kind of building this out and showing it off to you guys. Like I said earlier, May 23rd, we've got a more advanced projects webinar that'll go into some of the templating options. We can touch a little bit on the permissions as well. But we really appreciate everyone joining today. Some great questions. And like Cole said, this will be recorded. You'll receive that recording within the next couple days. But I really appreciate everyone being here. Thank you. Anything from Frank there?
Nope. Thank you guys a lot. Greg, it's been a lot of fun doing this with you. And I look forward to seeing you guys that are continued customers and people that are new coming on board.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.